All right. Hello, everybody. Special edition of the Market Open / Finance Junkies today. We've got SpaceX launching their Starship in about, looks like 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to do some talking about the markets. Any questions you guys have in the chat, we can discuss that stuff. But Carlos will be on in a little bit. And we're basically going to be seeing, potentially history take place. And so, Chris, let's start off with that. If this actually does get done and it goes into orbit, how big of a deal is it for you in your life?
Actually, believe it or not, my wife I was just talking to her about it, and she didn't even know it was happening. It was just like, oh yeah, it's a rocket going to space. Like Elon's been doing it for a while now, so it's not a big deal. And I'm like, no, it's a little bit big of a deal than that. Like this is the economics behind space travel become a lot more plausible after this launch. So it's a big deal. It's still like going to be very early for us. I think it's going to take a long time before we have like human space flight, but this is just adds to the mix, man. And I'm glad someone's doing it because the US for the last, I think, 15 years after the last like shuttle disaster hasn't had like its own like sponsored space program. It's been riding and hitching rides with like other space agencies. So, this is it's kind of cool to see that America is back in the game and it's being led on the private side. So, yeah.
I think also, can you tell us a little bit about what's different about Starship versus like the Falcon 9 launches? Like, why exactly is this one a bigger deal?
It's much, much, much bigger. Like in terms of sheer size of it, it is much, much larger. So if you are thinking about ever becoming a planet, interplanetary species where, you want to develop Mars as a colony or whatever, you're going to need to get a lot of supplies into space. And the current platforms that are out there are just not economical enough to do it. This is like the first time where you're actually going to be able to do it in a economical way. So I think this brings space travel a lot closer than what it was maybe 5-10 years ago. So I think I saw somewhere that says like eventually Starship is gonna have people on it, and there's enough room on it for I think 100 people or something like that. I don't know, like you, yeah, I'm not nearly as like versed or researched on this. I'm pretty sure Carlos is though. Like Carlos has been excited to see this. He's staying awake just for this. So
Yeah, I mean, if they get this one again, we can just riff on this for a couple minutes, and then we'll get into the pre-market. An interplanetary species to me has always been one of the most interesting things ever because there is going to be a star death of the planet in 4 billion years, right? For those that don't know, we have a sun that gives us all the fucking light and carbon dioxide and oxygen and plants and all that shit. That's gonna die. Is gonna burn out because I figured this out like 7 years ago. I was watching some documentary. I was like, holy crap! If the sun dies out, there's no Earth, right? And so if that's going to happen, no matter what religion or whatever you believe in, like the Earth is gone. And so,
dude, that's so far out into the
but
future.
like,
I
but
wouldn't
like,
even worry
if we
about
don't
it.
solve it now, right? Like,
I mean, and Mars is, dude, if the sun goes, Mars goes too. Mars is not that far away from us. So
that's
yeah,
true. I guess it's just a question of making the technology because
yeah.
like the argument is that outside of the sun death, the Earth's going to die through something eventually, right? I don't know if humans are going to
Eh,
outlast the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs had 65 million years. We've had like a couple thousand, right?
no, a couple thousand
A
is
couple
like,
hundred thousand, a couple 100,000. I know, not
yeah,
2023. I get that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the
No,
dinosaurs at 65 million, bro.
so we got plenty of time to go, bro. We got plenty of time to grow. I think it's going to be more important that we develop some sort of like space colonies and stuff like that, because there's just so much there's so much potential use cases for things like Google at one point actually wanted to do something like space mining. I don't know if you saw that, where they wanted to send rockets and mine asteroids for like iron and I think gold and all this other shit. So yeah,
Really? When were they planning to do that shit?
I don't know. It was a little while ago. I just because I could hear your background.
Uh,
There you go. Yeah, so they were talking about doing space mining, and there's actually a few companies that have gotten started with that. Um, yeah, I just want to, like I said, I just want to one day go to the moon as like a vacation. That would be fucking cool, you know.
That would be pretty cool. I do not want to go to the moon ever, but it's
Why?
like Palantir to go to the moon because I'm scared of it. The shit's gonna fucking blow up, and I don't want to fucking do that. Like,
I'm sure that that's exactly how most people felt when like planes started to fly. Like, oh, I don't want to get on a plane and go to another country. What
bro, a
if the thing
plane is
blows up?
different than going to outer fucking space. That's like, it's a
I mean, yeah,
little
I
different.
guess, yeah, yeah.
All right, pre-market. Anything you're seeing that's really interesting? Got Tesla at 164. Do you think it deserves this 9% decline? And are you buying any today?
I'm not gonna buy any for a little while. I think it definitely deserves to get its ass beat down a little bit because the numbers were lower than the expectations. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes below 150 to be honest.
Really? You think it won't get bought up before 150? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I mean it went down pretty far last time. So I think it's got the potential to go down to like maybe even 125, you know. But that's the thing about Tesla. You can never really tell. Like I saw a lot of Tesla bulls on Twitter and on other spaces just kind of like going crazy with the negativity. So yeah.
Um,
The echo is Amit because he's not using headphones.
Hold on. I'm about to get headphones right now. Okay, so while I'm getting headphones, can you talk a little bit about Apple and India and why you are bullish?
So for those that don't know, Tim Cook was in was in India this week. They opened their first Apple iPhone store in India. Indians have had this fascination with Apple and they love Apple, except they can't afford the Apple phones. It's a very big luxury item. And it's not so much that it costs a lot, because that's definitely one of the factors. But India, if you import anything in, they charge a shit ton of money in taxes. So Apple, if they had imported stuff in from China, it would have cost them a lot of money. So one of the things that Apple's been doing is diversifying their supply chain. And so they're actually building iPhones in India now. So now they actually have a larger presence in India, not only just to sell as a market, but to also manufacture. So Apple is diversifying its pretty much its manufacturing across Southeast Asia, and India, being that it's 1.4 billion people, it's nuts. If you think about it, even if they capture 20% of the Indian market, that's the entire population of the United States. That is how big the country is. So India's got a middle class that's growing, and I think a lot of people are going to be going in to get luxury items like the iPhone. It's just a status symbol in India to have an iPhone. So I think a lot of people are going to be. I think a lot of people are going to be buying up iPhones. So that could be a nice revenue driver for Apple and going into the future. But I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to buy Apple at these prices though. I'll let it
That's what I was gonna
come
say. I
down a
was gonna
little
be
bit.
like, are you still gonna buy?
No, no, I'm gonna let things like things take time. Right now is not the time to buy it. If once it drops, maybe like to 140s, I'll probably start going in a little bit, but not at the current price.
Okay, so I have another question for you as we're waiting for the Starship launch. So I was on YouTube today, and I was on Yahoo Finance channel, and every video I'm seeing is them saying expect a recession in mid-June, right? Like everyone's saying there's a recession, like it's inevitable there's a recession. Do you kind of feel that way? Are we setting ourselves up for a recession? Is this just like we're all excited because things are going up and like it's eventually going to come down in the summer? Like, what do you think about this?
I agree. I think we definitely see some recession. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as what some people have been expecting, but yeah, I think we have a mild recession, which is exactly what everyone is saying. But the one key difference between this recession and every other ones are this one is like the most telegraphed recession ever. Like people were talking about this recession before, like almost like a year ago, like, oh, we're probably gonna have a recession next year. It's like, what? Like, how does that work? Like most of the time, recession is usually like some triggering event that causes like a meltdown in something, and then the Fed has to come in and help out, and then there's like a freeze up in the capital markets. the credit markets. But this time it's just been a very weird things. I don't know if the same traditional like things that identified what a recession is supposed to be end up being true in this case.
Let's take
Yeah.
a look at this. First thing I get on CNBC, here's why a recession is likely to happen this year.
New York Fed President John Williams says the economy can eke out gains in GDP and avoid a recession this year. Joining us now, Joe Livornia, former economic advisor in the Trump administration and National Economic Council chief economist. He's now SMBC Nikko Securities of America chief economist, and Dana Peterson, chief economist with the Conference Board. Joe, I think you don't believe it. Dana, I don't know whether you would buy into that. The economy has been pretty darn resilient, and the labor market pretty resilient. Maybe not 2023. Is one coming obviously at some point, but is one coming in the next year, do you think, Dana?
Yes, we do expect that there will be a recession. It's probably starting right about now. All of our indicators suggest that. Leading indicators, consumer confidence, CEO confidence, all point to a recession in the U.S. economy. We have seen slowing in activity. Certainly, consumers are spending less on goods. They're saying they're going to spend less on services, and businesses are already pulling back.
See, that's not the case with Lululemon, right? Like Lululemon's had an amazing growth. It's like this is why I'm really conflicted in terms of seeing kind of how this is playing out.
Well, the consumer is doing well. You know, everyone's still making good money. The unemployment rate hasn't really like spiked up that much. Labor market is still tight. So consumers are still going to spend, you know, I mean, we're not seeing the massive, like we're seeing layoffs, but they're not like so massive that, what is it? Vitali's on the chat. He says finance junkies now streaming 24/7 like Fox News. Come join us, Vitali. What are you doing? You're on mute, Amit.
I was literally cursing out Vitali the whole time you saw. I was like, he's only 46 years old. He can wake his ass up and get on the stream. I don't care if he slept late at night. Get in the stream. It's the finance junkie stream, and he's not even here. Fucking piece of shit. All right, let's go back to the video.
Someone on the Fed was watching, Dana. After hearing that, don't you think they should pause? Mission accomplished?
Well, the thing is that we haven't seen services really come off in terms of consumer spending, and that's really what's driving inflation right now. It's housing, it's also spending on travel, hotels and restaurants, as well as food inflation, especially for groceries. And when we look at the core inflation measures, they're still very sticky. And so I think the Fed really hasn't completed its task just yet.
That's interesting. So they could have already gotten what they wanted in terms of a recession, but there's pockets that are still stubborn and sticky, as you say. So you think they should stay the course. That's interesting. What do you think, Livornia?
Okay, we're going to transition to SpaceX stuff. Let's see what they're streaming. Got about 15 minutes to launch, and let's see what they're saying.
And eventually, a prototype rose through an altitude.
We did that belly flop maneuver, which is so much more fun to say than controlled descent, aerodynamic maneuver. That was all stable, but unfortunately, we had flight as well. We had a failure on one of the engines that resulted in another pretty large fireball. But what was really cool about both of those flights was how much we learned just between serial numbers 8 and 9 and how quickly we were able to achieve our primary objectives in those two flights. In addition to that, we got so much data that demonstrated control of the vehicle in that subsonic regime.
Ultimately, we performed 9 Starship high-altitude test flights in total. And then, as you see on your screen there, in May of 2021, SN-15 launched from Starbase, reached an altitude of about 10 kilometers, performed a number of maneuvers, and safely returned to the launch site. This was the first Starship prototype to fly, control its descent, safely land, and be recovered in one piece.
And people were cheering like crazy.
I was one of them.
Test flight.
I wonder if one day they'll end up using something like a mass driver. Do you know what a mass driver is, Amit? Have you heard of that before?
No.
A mass driver? Okay. A mass driver is this concept where basically you have like an entire rail system that's set up where the initial boost to get it to like a very high altitude, right? Because if you think about the amount of energy that it takes just to burn to get to that high altitude, it's super high. So instead, if you have like some sort of an assist that takes you halfway. Think of it almost like a roller coaster where it
Yeah.
speeds it through and then it launches you up in the air. You can go up in the air and then hit the boosters right when you're about to hit like a top the top ceiling level and basically carry the rest of the way. So you don't need to have as much fuel. I mean, it's all theoretical physics, but it's a really cool concept that I've seen in the past. There's a couple of companies that are trying to do something like something similar to that, but they're doing it. It's a company called Swing Launch, where basically it like rotates the rocket in a circle at super high speed, and then it just releases it, and then it goes up into the atmosphere. It goes up to a high level, and then it launches its thing there. But some of this stuff is like really theoretical. But mass drivers are going to be really cool to see if they ever build one. You know.
Okay, so I didn't understand anything you said, but I'm confused how you understand theoretical physics. Like, where did you get the time to learn?
I mean, no,
about-
it's like different things. Like it's one of those things that you see in like science fiction. I think Kane put it in there. Like you see it all the time in movies. Have you ever seen the movie Gattaca?
Yeah, but
by any
when did you
chance?
learn? No, but when did you learn about this? Like, you're talking about it like you actually have some knowledge on. Like, when did you have time to research this shit?
I mean, it's just interesting things, you know, like if is it possible or not? Like you ever thought like, okay, a space colony in space, the one that has like the torus that's like spinning around that generates artificial gravity, like how would that work? You know. So
Yeah,
Chris is the
I don't
what
even
does
know
that
what
say?
that
Chris
shit
is
is.
the
So
dude
it's
that
just
gets an A on the test when the class average
A
is
on
a
the
C.
class.
I was a solid
Chris, do you read a
A
lot of
minus
books?
student. I would
You
like
read
to, but
books?
no. I would like to, no, not a lot. I'm more of a read online and read different articles, read news, like things like that, read actual research like that. I don't necessarily like to read actual books unless it's something that I'm super interested in. I like
Why?
audiobooks. Huh?
Ah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, Blake always gives me shit because I say I don't have time to read books. I listen to shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have to read the book to become smart. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to.
I love audiobooks. Like
It's not a bad
it depends on the genre that I'm trying to understand, right? Like if it's like a reading for like leisure, I just like a good story. I just put on a pot like anytime I'm doing like long distance driving, that's what I usually do. I'll just put on a nice audiobook and just listen for hours, you know.
Yeah, I was on the plane the other day. I put on an hour, 30-minute podcast, and like I learned so much. And it's like I didn't have to read it. I could just listen. It's just a different way of consuming, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's play it.
Ooh, hope they
Let's
don't scrub it.
we got 10 minutes for it. What are the odds, Chris? Yeah, what are the odds you think they stop it 5 minutes before?
I mean, if they notice like some sort of valve issue or some kind of technical issue that prevents it from getting into space, you know, that it might explode, yeah, they're gonna call it off because this is too important to fail at this point. But yeah, I think they'll definitely launch it at this point. It's
Okay.
420.
By the way,
Elon might just let it go. Be like, fuck it, whatever. Let's see what happens.
basically, everyone has to give Carlos the utmost amount of shit tonight on the Finance Junkies because this was his idea. He wanted to do this,
Mhm.
and he's not here. So and he probably fell asleep. He definitely fell asleep. He must be tired as shit. So we've got to give him shit tonight
Yeah.
for missing this.
He's
But remember,
it's the largest
he's
employer
got
in
kids.
the area.
Same thing
In
with Vitaly. They
fact,
both got kids. You
No,
know?
I get it. I'm just saying this was his idea at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
why it's funny because I don't blame him, right? He must be so tired, but still.
Dude, one of these days we got to go to one of these launches, man. I want to see this thing in action, you know?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man, to see if this happens. All right, we got 8 minutes.
I know it must be really, really exciting to go see this. And I mean, just the sheer amount of power on Starship, you're going to feel it down there when this thing lifts off from the pad. We've actually got a great shot here of the natural surroundings around the pad. Oddly enough, most of the pads end up being around sort of wild locations like this. But coming up on T-minus 8 minutes, I think it's another good time for check-in with John.
Thank you, Shiva. T-minus just over 8 minutes to the first test flight of Starship. Currently, we are pressurizing second stage. We are also closing out liquid oxygen and fuel header loads on the second stage. We're also getting ready for propellant load tank pressurization on the first stage. In fact, we are just now closing out header tank load on the second stage. Now with the header tanks loaded and closed out, that means we're down to just the first stage.
All right, I'm pretty sure at this point we're
Look who actually,
Carlos
Chris,
woke
someone
up.
actually woke their ass up and decided, not Carlos, his counter buddy. His counter buddy decided to come.
You made it. What happened to Carlos, man?
I only joined. I thought, listen.
We
Oh,
can
wait.
see how tired you are
Hold
already. See it in your face.
Yeah.
I was telling him, man, I was like, Carlos and V
You're good,
have
you're good,
kids, man. It's a whole different ball game for them, you know.
I think I had the mic on. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, we hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, the only reason
Yeah.
I joined, because this is silly, the only reason is because Carlos made such a big deal out of this shit. Does not wake up. I have to fucking get on this thing, which I didn't want to do. And
At least we got someone from the freelancer
because
finance team.
he was giving me some shit that, don't you ever feel like a child? This is the only time I feel like a child, when I see rockets go up. This motherfucker's sleeping.
He's launching his own rockets in space in his dreams.
Listen. Okay, this is why I'm here.
That child he has is making him sleep and forget about his inner child. That's the issue.
Listen, I have 2 kids, all right? So
That's crazy.
just
man.
FYI.
Wait, what time did you sleep last night?
I went to sleep at 2.
Shit.
That's nothing, bro. And you're what? You're up at 8 a.m. That's 6 hours. You're good.
Shut up, man.
You're
You're 20. So you're 25 years old, man. You don't know what it feels like once you hit your 30s and 40s.
Old people need their sleep.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
All right, so is this thing going
You
up?
got 6 hours. That's good enough. That's great.
Well, I woke up
Yeah,
earlier.
let's see.
but,
All right, we're going
Is a chemical called T-tab. It's a pyrophoric material, so that means when you mix the two together, it produces a flame that kicks off that green characteristic spark on Falcon 9 missions. But actually on Starship, we use electrical ignition systems. Many of those are integrated on the ground system here. And
the SpaceX
the
people
electrical
would have some
ignition,
better
we
cameras.
start lighting the banks at T-minus 6 seconds. And then over the next 4 seconds, the 3 sets of banks will ignite and eventually bring the booster up to a thrust to weight greater than 1 and hopefully ascent.
Super exciting. Like we said, pretty different from our Falcon 9 launches. And so this will be the first time that any of us have gotten to see this type of integrated test flight with both the Starship and the Super Heavy booster.
Everyone's cheering as we get in the
All right, guys, let's make a bet. Let's make a bet.
Remind everyone
Who thinks
that
this shit
success
blows up
today is
halfway up?
Anything.
I'm it.
Yeah, let's stop down there.
I'm sure that-
I think it blows up.
For
You
today,
think it blows
success
up?
is anything
Wait, there's
that
no
we
people on it,
learned
right?
that
It's just a
helps
test?
improve
No,
the future
it's just a
build
test,
of
yeah.
Okay,
Starship.
yeah.
If
So,
we lift
I can
off
say that.
and clear the pad,
It's
we're
supposed to
going
land in the ocean. Do a vote, Amit. Do a
Great
vote,
shot
Amit.
of
Is
the
it gonna?
pad there.
Is it actually gonna
Great
work,
shot
or is it
of
gonna
the
blow up?
Disconnect on the second stage. You can see
No, I
that
hope it
frost
makes it,
line
but
on the booster
this is
where
the
that
this is the
methane
first big
is,
test, so
is
you know.
fully topped up. I think we're just coming up on the last few minutes here of propellant fill on the booster.
All right. Shout out to the 192 people being here. I'm going to put the poll in the chat. Let us know what you think, and then we're going to keep it going.
Is everybody
Also
basically here from
providing
yesterday? The same
propellants
people
that
just
we're
showed up
loading
again?
into the vehicle.
Yeah. We're just now under 4 minutes until liftoff of the Starship
You should take a
flight
poll.
test.
Do any of these people go to work?
We've been following along for it, what honestly seems like days and days now, but really it kind of comes down to years. It has been a long time to get to where we are today. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, we have the opportunity to hold, if necessary, at 40 seconds. And we are able to hold there for about 15 minutes or up to 15 minutes and still be able to lift off.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different from Falcon for the propellant sequence.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, but they're lifting off during the market open.
Don't have the opportunity to hold.
Might as well buy some. I got 5 minutes to.
Right now, T-minus 3 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. We got some great views from the drone. It's nice that the fog is slowly lifting. We get some of the blue skies, hopefully good views. What we're waiting for right now is closeout of propellant loading on the first stage.
Buy some Weight Watchers. There's a weight limit on the shuttle.
In fact, it looks like fuel fill and drain valves are coming closed. That means first stage is fully loaded, second stage fully loaded, and at 10 million pounds of propellant on board the Starship launch vehicle.
I want to take a quick moment to say that the crowd energy here is electric. I feel like it's Falcon Heavy test demo all over again.
And hopefully you'll hear us as we get into the plus count. But right now, next activity is coming up. The flight termination system arms at T-minus.
Bro, 2 minutes until history.
Why does this feel like it's like slower than real life? I don't know. Just these 2 minutes are gonna feel super long for some reason.
Who says I'm a bad guy? Who's saying I'm a bad guy? I have someone defending me.
Seeing this shit go up is gonna be crazy.
All right, just bought some JEPQ.
All right,
some dividend stocks.
Does JEPI pay out monthly?
Pays out monthly. Yes,
Nice.
It's such a great cash position. It doesn't go anywhere.
Nice.
You don't expect it to run.
All right, 2 minutes.
Love this view. These are the 33 Raptor engines at the base of the Super Heavy booster. I think we can see those wiggles now.
Oh, it's pulsating. That means it's good.
Currently inside 90 seconds. Next major activity, T-minus 40 seconds. That is a gate, a decision point. We're waiting. Possibility the propulsion team may need a few minutes.
Oh, Blake, I will look into that. That sounds like a good suggestion.
Flight termination system is armed for flight. We're getting ready for T-minus 1 minute.
I'm going to check that out today while I take a shit.
1 minute. 1 minute. You guys know what I have to do when it's time.
No, please. Put that
yeah.
stupid shit
I
away.
think that's done.
Yes.
You know, the cowbell is dead.
Next, we'll see as we get past T-minus 40
Cowbell's
seconds.
never dead.
Cowbell's dead,
It's the
dude.
final checks of the vehicle.
You think everybody watches for the cowbell, not for you.
All right, 30 seconds.
What happened to the sound?
Did you just extend it?
Okay, you can see the clock
No.
No.
is
I didn't.
recycled. Flight director has called a hold. We are recycling. For the moment, we'll see where they move the clock back to. They could hold at T-minus 40 seconds. They could go to an earlier point. Give us a minute to listen into the maps, and we'll see if we can get you more information.
This is Elon making sure that he launches right at 9:30. Let's see.
Elon's such a. I love him, bro. He's such a character.
He's like, no, guys, wait, 2 minutes. We're ready to go. Let's go. Let's give it a couple of minutes.
I mean, the window's ending, right?
So it is 4:20, bro.
4:20.
4:20.
9:30.
Tesla's gonna go straight down while the shit goes straight up.
Oh yeah, that was a terrible earnings call. I don't care what anybody says.
Countdown, hold for final.
We needed your thoughts yesterday.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the bullishness. No offense, Carlos, but my God, like, come on. You can say something is bad, and then in the future it's going to be good. But that was a bad earnings call.
He said FSD end of this year. I was like, no.
He said that last year, and he said that the year before, and he said that in 2012 and 2013,
20
2014.
seconds.
He's been saying it for over a decade. It's going to happen one day.
You guys all, as my best men, will have to hold a cowbell when this happens.
What's going on? Are they doing this? No, I'm not adding Tesla. I think it's too expensive right now. Am I keeping all my Tesla? Yes, I'm keeping all my Tesla. And I have enough.
All right, the market is open.
Really? Oh, crap.
I don't think it's going
Tesla's
up.
down. Tesla's down 165. SoFi 598. Palantir 829. Palantir taking a dump this morning.
Well, I looked at the
SLG
stats.
is down.
I looked at Tesla's stats, and for what he's telling us that margins are going to be coming down, the growth in cars production is still estimated for 50%. But the problem is the growth story is not the same anymore, right? For at least for this year. So I would not be rushing in. I would DCA, but not rush in.
But aren't 18%
Inspector
margins
again
still
here
good?
at the Hawthorne webcast desk. We're holding a T-minus 40 seconds. What we've heard so far is we have a couple of issues we're working. One is the booster tank pressurization. Final
we're not going up,
pressurization
guys.
was just a little bit long. That's not unusual. We've held at T-minus 40 seconds before to pressurize. That appears to have been resolved. At the same time on the second stage, they're working some final purging. We should know very shortly if that is cleared and if we'll continue the countdown.
Everyone, especially that person, is excited to keep going. Like John said, we should know shortly if we are able to continue. But as we mentioned before, we are able to hold up to 15 minutes and still be able to
at least blow it up.
Yeah, on Falcon 9, it's a little bit different. Once we start propellant loading, we
You know
pretty much
that
have to
picture
go
poking?
at
Do
the targeted
something.
time. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the propellants can warm up, and we may not have the performance for that particular mission profile. It's a little.
Oh, I
bit
see
different
Carlos. Yeah,
on
he's in the
Yeah.
crowd. You see him all the way in the front
If I
there?
can interrupt,
Yeah.
it looks like they're clearing all the flags, and we're going to release at T-minus 40 seconds.
Oh,
Oh,
here
shoot.
we go.
Amazing news.
Amazing.
People need to work.
Team
True.
working quickly through their issues on first and second stages.
Imagine you took off a week because you're
I'm
sick,
sure all
and
of
then
the rehearsals
Tesla puts you on their
and
live
simulations
stream.
that they've been doing have prepared them to evaluate this data quickly to try to get us in for today's launch attempt.
40 seconds, baby.
For those of
Fucking
you
Carlos
just joining, we
sleeping right
have
now.
a brief hold at the T-minus 40 second mark. The team is resolving one issue with the bleed purge on the stage 2 Raptors. Like John just said, the teams are quickly working that, and it looks like the flags are being cleared as we speak. So we should be able to resume the launch countdown any moment now.
I will
And it's worth
cowbell on
noting on
launch.
Starship that once we resume the countdown, it restarts from the 40-second period, and then we keep
Exactly.
going unless another condition pops up. So stick around because Starship could be going here real soon.
Don't walk away, that's for sure. Amazing views here coming to us from Starbase, Texas.
Cheering.
All right.
Here we go, baby.
Don't do that, man. This okay. Here we go.
All right, let's see this puppy.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3.
Woo, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yo, yo, yo. I took a screen grab for Carlos.
Okay.
Oh, shit. It's off the ground. Looking good.
Bro, the size of that thing is enormous. The fact that it's able to just
Holy
stay
crap.
in that position.
Oh, man.
Booster upper chamber pressure is nominal.
Is it landing vertically like all those other rockets, or this just
No. This one's gonna touch down in the water.
it just crash lands?
Yeah.
Of the inaugural Starship vehicle, tower cleared, we're into pitch over. Propulsion reports first stage
Looking
engines
good.
nominal.
420,
What
man.
a sight when the
Well,
ground
how many
cameras are
engines?
started.
How many engines are out? 1, 2, 3, 4 engines are out.
How many does it have total? Like 18 or something?
Additional signals
Yeah.
for 15.
We're throttled down and throttled back up. going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q. Max
It's doing pretty
As the
well.
velocity increases,
Oh,
the
wow, look
density
at
of the
that. That's
atmosphere is
amazing.
decreasing,
Max Q.
lessening stress on the vehicle. The
Is that
call
5
out,
engines
Max
out?
Q now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think that's how they in maneuvers like to keep it straight and steady. You know.
Turns them
Continuing
on.
to watch the first
Yeah.
stage as we head down range.
Well, I saw them articulate, right? They articulate the engines too, some of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
100 seconds into flight. Our next major activity is going to be shutdown of the first stage. The Houston tracking station now acquiring the vehicle. With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship from Super Heavy and ignition of the Starship engines. When Starship separates, we light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. And if all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. Onboard view from Starship.
Nice.
Is this the largest rocket ever made?
On the second
Yeah.
stage, as we prepare for stage separation.
Elon's going to get us to Mars, guys. It's going to happen. We might be dead, but he's going to get us
begin
there.
a boost back maneuver for landing in the Gulf.
It didn't blow up, man. That's amazing.
That's great. It shows how far SpaceX has come, you know?
Yeah.
Continuing to fly, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
What does NASA do? NASA paid for this shit. That's what NASA does.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
Without NASA, there would be no SpaceX. I keep saying that.
This is wild, bro.
Yeah, if it goes public over 1 trillion, forget about it. That'd be crazy. I mean,
I think it might go public at like 200.
As of right now, we are awaiting stage
that's probably
separation,
true. Yeah.
It's at 150 billion.
where
Right now.
Starship should separate from the Super Heavy booster.
I think anything under 500 billion is definitely
Yeah,
investable.
Kate, right
No
now it
joke.
looks like we saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now. Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah, it does appear to be spinning, but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
Boom! The explosion comes. Boom!
And there, as you saw, as we promised, an exciting end to the Starship
nice.
inaugural integrated test flight.
I'm glad I wasn't on that one going to Mars. Oh shit! I mean, it's an amazing feat. The fact that they did this is still amazing.
Wait. So is that good or bad? What exactly?
No, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
This is the first to real test. It's supposed to blow up at the end.
Wait, so what exactly did they do? They sent it into space, it blew up, and that's it? The whole thing's done?
It was supposed to separate, they said. It didn't separate, right?
Okay.
That's what I heard. So it stuck together and it spun out of control and it blew up, like rockets tend to do if they don't follow the right trajectory.
But we got it into space, which is what matters, right?
Yo,
If
Elon
you're
didn't
just
look happy
joining
there.
us, Starship just experienced what we call a rapid unscheduled disassembly, or a RUD, during ascent. But now this was a development test. This is the first test flight of Starship, and the goal was to gather the data, and as we said, clear the pad and get ready to go again. So you never know exactly what's going to happen, but as we promised, excitement is guaranteed. And Starship gave us a rather spectacular end, what was truly an incredible test thus far.
Now, as we mentioned at the start of today's program, any and all the data that we collected during the test is going to help us with further development of Starship, and it's going to improve the vehicle's reliability as SpaceX seeks to make life multiplanetary. It's really worth noting that the flight path was designed to be over water and all the air and sea space. Along with that flight path and those surrounding areas were cleared in advance of the test. And of course, we're going to be coordinating with local authorities for the recovery operations.
But honestly, what an exciting morning. Oh my gosh. We had a successful liftoff from Starbase, Texas at 8:28 a.m. Central Time. We cleared the tower, which honestly was our only hope. We cleared the tower, and all the data that we
She
collected
doesn't sound
all the
happy
way
about
through,
that.
all those Raptor, those 33, although I think we saw that 3 Raptor engines were out. But we got all that data, and we got so far as to hoping to see the Starship, the second stage, separate from the first stage, the super heavy booster. And unfortunately, we didn't make that happen, but that's okay. It was the first integrated launch, and honestly, today was amazing.
Absolutely incredible day. We've made it through a number of those initial test objectives with getting booster ascent, getting all the way through the countdown, working some issues.
All right, dude. Well, it was a pleasure this morning, even though Carlos didn't show up. One of these days.
Well, now it's good he didn't show up.
You
He got to sleep.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to see this in person one day. Maybe
And
even
he
take a
made
ride
me
on
go
it.
on the stream just because of all the shit talking. Because I would have never joined.
All right, you know what? While we're here, Vitaly,
Oh
why don't
God,
you give us a rundown of the
Chris
Tesla?
can pivot. Chris can pivot to SLG any day of the week.
No. I was gonna say, let's talk about Tesla. Like, why do you thought it was a negative quarter? For
I heard it in the car listening to most of it, not all of it, but I mean, it seemed like a lot of excuses why they weren't hitting their excuses. He's saying basically we're not going to get our 20% because it's the economy, stupid, right? That's what the excuse is. But hasn't that excuse been played for the last like 2-3 years as they grew and massively like 10-20x in the last? They've been saying it since 2019 or 2020, like the same story, which is fine. Margins will compress, fine, I get it. The bull case is FSD for him. So the problem with FSD that he kept referring to is that, and I think I heard part of your pod yesterday, is that it's not happening for a while. Right? Even if it does happen, meaning like the cars can actually do what he says, even if it's this year. And I think, Chris, you mentioned it, that there is a lot of regulatory framework that has to go through to say, hey, cars can drive on the street autonomously in the middle of Manhattan. Like, that's not just because you can do it doesn't mean that New York City is going to be like, sure, go ahead. You know, pilot programs are one thing, which they have in San Francisco. They have them somewhere in Arizona. Waymo's doing some pilot programs, but I wonder what the structure is of there. They have like tiny little areas where they can do it, right? It's not like they can go anywhere they want.
It's it's also jurisdiction, right? So like, it's not like nationally you can just get one authority to approve it and say, yeah, you're good to go for the entire
like
country.
10 million jurisdictions, and then Tesla will have to start going through each one. But the thing you guys didn't talk about, or that nobody talks about, FSD, when it comes out, it's going to be done on highways. It's going to be done on paths that can, I think you even mentioned rural areas, but I think it's just going to be done places that are easy. Like right now, I have autopilot in my car. I don't have FSD, but I could double click that little thing in my Tesla and it drives 80-90% already on autopilot, not FSD. It's two different things. Okay. And FSD is way superior technology to autopilot, but I'm already driving 80% on a highway without touching the car. I still have to keep my hands on the wheel because Elon wants me to keep my hands on the wheel, and I have to nudge it every now and then. The blue screen starts flashing at me saying, hey, keep your hands on the wheel. But honestly, I zone out a lot, which is not a good thing to say. But as soon as these FSD comes, this is the other issue, that people will completely zone out. So there's all these issues that have to be dealt with, the jurisdictional issue. But I think highways is where it's going to happen first. Certain long stretches of highways, especially trucks. Like that's the bull case. Imagine if just trucks can go 80% of their journey without stopping.
Dude, Arizona highways. I remember driving there last year with me and the wife. It's like there are times where it's completely empty for like miles ahead of you and miles
hundreds
behind
of
you.
miles. Have you ever driven through Texas? Like literally driven
Texas
through
is like that too. Yeah.
Texas is like 6 hours of straight driving. Okay. So there are plenty of places where FSD will work, and that's where they'll start, which is, I don't see any problem with that. Why do we need robo-taxis? As long as you can put a truck or a car to deliver some cargo 80% of the way, this is already a massive improvement in terms of just transportation.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, have a great day today.
For
I'm gonna
Vitaly.
pass out.
One last question. Okay, Chris, you can leave. Vitaly, I have one more question for you.
I'll
So
stick around.
Chris will not. Chris will
Okay.
never leave the stream
No,
early.
I
Just
want to
FYI.
hear. I want to hear. I want to hear what you're
He
going
wants
to
to hear the
ask him.
question.
He will miss
question.
work. He will
No,
not
he's
go to his
sleeping.
wife.
He's actually dedicated.
He's like,
unlike
when are we pivoting to
Carlos.
SLG? This is what I want to know.
Okay, so Vitaly,
you know, I didn't mention, but
there was a-
you know, Chris is gloating. You say I gloat. He gloats all the time about how much fucking he's making an SLG.
oh no.
Hold on.
No.
Did
He
you know
actually-
Bitcoin when I was
he
buying it?
never gloats about.
What? I thought that text he sent us about the amount of money in his bank account was a gloat.
Yeah, gloating to us is different than gloating to 300 people. That's
All right. I gloat to
fundamental.
everybody. Go
It's
ahead.
not
Fine.
So Palantir might end
Oh,
up
God.
joining the S&P 500.
All right.
I'm
I'm
leaving.
clicking
Bye.
the
What are your
leave
thoughts?
studio.
Wow. Yo, I hate these motherfuckers. I actually wanted Vitaly's thought. You know why they left? They don't have shit to say. That's why they left. They didn't have anything to say. They knew they didn't have an answer. And as a result of that, they had to leave. I thought Chris actually wanted to hear his thoughts. Nope, they left because they don't have an answer. That's okay, guys. Because I don't need these stupid headphones anymore either. I made a video on Palantir and the S&P 500, and I will be posting that video so you guys can get my raw thoughts. Because that's what matters. Okay, that's what matters. All right, we still got a little bit of the market open to continue to do. Sorry, dude. He had nothing to say. You got nothing to say. Palantir in the S&P 500. Remember, okay, this is not going to happen, but when Tesla went into the S&P 500, it went up 40%. Just from the announcement of it. Now, I don't think that's going to happen to Palantir, but the point is being in the S&P 500 is a big deal. I talked about it a lot in the video today, which is important. Tesla's Dojos versus Palantir's AIP. Remember the difference between the two, okay? Dojo is being trained on a little bit more proprietary data, to what I understand. The AIP from Palantir, the artificial intelligence platform, it doesn't need proprietary data. They don't need their FSD miles that are proprietary to them that they can then license out. They just need to go into an organization, be the Tampa Bay General Hospital, give us all of your patient data. We will then optimize it and integrate it into the AIP. Now, what's Tampa Bay General Hospital going to say? Hey, Palantir, can we trust you? And Palantir has to say 2 letters and 1 number, and the conversation is done. IL6. Boom. You trust us. We're going to get the business. We're getting the deal because no one else can do that shit. So that's it. That's all it is. As I've said, this is what I mean. Palantir is misunderstood by intelligent folks. I agree, man. I think it's misunderstood, fundamentally misunderstood. But that's okay, because that presents an opportunity for the people who try to understand it. So that's it. Not adding Tesla today. I'm going to see it. Let's actually go into the market and see how it's doing. How bad is Tesla right now? Tesla's recovering a little bit, 169. You know, Chris said it could get to 125. I don't think it's getting that low, man. I think it's going to get stuck at around this 168 to 173 range. Just don't feel like buying it yet, but we'll see how low it could possibly go. Palantir went down. Market made a little bit of recovery. It was down a little bit more than when I saw it last time. Enphase at 221. ARC at 38, NASDAQ at 12,091. Have not sold my Enphase yet. Enphase, I'm up nicely on it, but playing the long game on it, letting it play out so we can get back to 188. If the world is right about this recession crap that's going to happen soon, I say crap because I'm just like, really? We're getting another recession? Consumer spending is going down that dramatically? Like, it's like, and maybe that's true, but all I see on mainstream media is like, we're getting a recession near June. And, you know, maybe that does happen. But if it does happen, we're going to get better prices for these stocks. So I have to do a little bit more research to see if that's actually happening. But, you know, DCAing into some of these you don't want to DCA into NVIDIA right now. Maybe it goes up to 355 in the next 5 months, but 278, no. You're not getting... NVIDIA is a higher market cap than Tesla right now. And I don't know if NVIDIA is as innovative and transformative as Tesla. I think it'll be big, but I don't think it's it deserves to be worth more than Tesla. But that's what we have. Stagflation will happen. Views. Nah, I don't know. I don't think we get into I mean, look, it depends on CPI data, to be honest, and it depends on what the Fed does with rates. If the Fed cuts these bitches, we're not having stagflation. We are going up. But if the Fed stays flat or maybe pauses, then it might be possible. So we are going to see. Let me pull up some of the videos I was looking at on this recession stuff and keep going from there. It's really interesting. You know, I don't know. the argument is primarily consumer spending, discretionary spending, and overall some of the stuff that's going on with the banks. But I don't know if that's enough to cause like some massive recession that people are saying is going to be the case. Let's take a look at Gene from Loop, Gene Munster, and hear him talk a little bit about Tesla. So again, Tesla, we did a recap of it last night. Margins kind of sucked. Growth has slowed down. However, long term, they seem to have the best potential out of all the car manufacturers to be able to sell at a losses. They did another round of price cuts yesterday. Every vehicle is just another machine and a testing experiment on the road for them. So it seems like that's.
For more on Tesla, let's bring in our Fast Money friend, Gene Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management. Gene, great to have you with us. We've been having a robust debate here on the desk about Tesla. Where do you think we are in the Tesla story right here, right now?
So right here, right now, we are challenged. The company's margins are going down a little bit more than what investors had hoped. That critical metric was EV gross margins ex EV tax credits. That came in at 19%. It could have been 20% based on some accounting of some advanced credits for manufacturing. We'll have to wait for the call, but that's an important distinction. How people are going to view this quarter. If it could be a 20% number, investors will feel good. If it's 19, they don't feel good. So to answer your question, near term, they are feeling the pressure here, and it is impacting their business. And I want to jump back to an important point that Dan made about the cult piece of this story. And I think that is the reason why cult followings happen on growth companies is because a group of investors believe in where a company is going. So it's beyond the current quarter, to your point, Melissa. And I think that's really the hinge factor and going to be the X factor here in terms of how this plays out. If in fact they can proceed on their growth, we can talk about what that growth strategy is. I think that the stock moves higher. And I think that's ultimately, it's going to drive, I think, some of the Tesla bears mad here over the next couple of years, because there will always be this carrot out here because they're getting into some massive markets, always this carrot out there that Tesla is going to be able to turn the corner and really hit some new growth vectors.
So Gene, again, a $570 billion market cap company that's down from 1.2 trillion at the end of 2021 here. And again, you just heard us kind of talking about this. I mean, there is clearly a change in the fundamentals in what's going on with the company. Even when the stock was careening lower in 2022, they weren't cutting prices there, and they sounded pretty confident about their ability to manage supply chains coming out of this uncertain period. They're still calling it an uncertain period, and we haven't even had the the recession that we're all expecting. So I guess my question to you is, you've covered high growth, high valuation, tech companies in the past here. What's different about this one? Because as long as I've been in the business, every single time there's been a special story like this with a special guy like Elon, it's always come undone. And I'm just not certain down 55% really means that that's it, that it's come undone and that's it. We can get back to.
Guys, we have to pause the video. Gotta pause the video because someone's here. Hello, sir.
How fucking cool was that?
What's up? Where were you during the stream?
I was with my kid, actually. Like, she's, she had a little issue this morning, and so I had to do what Dad had to do. But we sat there on the phone, and I watched it, trying to have her understand what was happening. So it was kind of cool in one way, but I couldn't hop on the call. What did you guys?
It was so funny because this was your idea. Everyone wanted you're like, yo, we got to do it. We're this inner kid.
I know.
And then me and Chris are there waiting for you. And then Vitaly joins out of desperation. He's like, I just, but Carlos is going to give you shit if I don't join. So everyone is tonight. They're still going to give you shit for not joining, even though you have a good excuse. They're still going to give you shit.
I mean, I couldn't.
What did you,
you can't make this stuff up, but what
do you think of it? What were your raw thoughts?
Raw thoughts. I mean, it's fucking amazing. It's unbelievable that thing got off the ground and did what it did. It reminded me a lot of the first Starship launch when it just launched it the first time. A lot of it was just gathering data. He said it was going to blow up, and it did. You could tell that they were. I think what they were really trying to do was just test that vectoring. You could see them messing around a lot with the vectoring. Like, I have to go back and watch it again, but I don't know if all 33 engines were firing. They had a lot of talk. He was talking about they were worried about melting the the platform. There's a lot of things that they needed to know that they didn't know, and now they actually have the raw data. So I'm assuming that the next flight they'll either get further or they'll actually achieve what they set out to do. But that was just still badass. I wanted to join, and I almost thought about joining with my kid, but I was like, nah. let me just do
That'd have been cute. That'd have been so cute.
I didn't get to hear what you guys were saying though. What did you think?
I mean, we thought it was pretty cool. It was just it ended. I really didn't know what was going on. So when it strategically disembarked or whatever they called it, I was just like, wait, so what just happened? I was like, I didn't get it. But apparently it was meant to blow up. It was meant to give data. And so that's the good thing about it, I guess.
That was how the first one went. It didn't, they were trying to test and see how much thrust each one of the engines could take. Could it maneuver? How many engines can it lose and still maneuver? These are things that you just like they say, you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. Like, unfortunately, it's a massive egg.
Yeah, the fact that they've been able to get to this point. I mean, everyone's gonna give them shit, but it's like no one else is doing this. This is hard shit, man. This is really, really hard shit.
Oh yeah, and it's also really hard to comprehend the scale of that thing. Like, there's a couple of pictures that try to show you the scale of this thing. For an object that big, to do what they did today is unbelievable. I just don't think people fully understand.
It looked like it was going up slow, but it wasn't because it was so big. But
Yeah,
it looked like it was slow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got to watch it again and see just like actually looking at the data, because I was just like nervous. I don't know if you guys felt the same thing too, like those nerves of just, man, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what he says about it, the data that they learned, and I'm hoping that they have just different video. I never really liked that angle. It's hard to shoot those things in some sort of way. It's always just like a kind of a telephoto shot, but I'm really curious to see what the data says about that, and then when they think that they would be able to try again. But I mean, look, I know people, some pretty important people that said what we saw today will never happen. They're like, never. Elon's full of shit. It'll never ever happen. So I got a couple of text messages that I got to write this morning. Got calls. But
all right, that's it for the Finance Junkies SpaceX launch special. I put Finance Junkies in quotes because everyone showed up in different times.
I know.
We'll be here tonight.
It's actually really hard, man. This is where you see the time difference. At least for me, the morning. I am not a morning guy. I'm a much more a late night guy. So,
what time do you usually wake up every day? Like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., something like that?
I'm usually up. Oh no, that's when I start work. But I'm usually up a little. A lot of it depends on the kid too. When she gets up in the morning and what she wants to do. So she's been having issues trying to just stay asleep. I don't know. Ever since we did daylight savings, it's been really hard to get her to stay on a certain schedule because now the sun is giving her a different signal than what we're saying. So, but it was cool. Yeah. It was cool. What about you? Because I feel like I'll send the tweet out. I'll tweet at you like 2 a.m. and you're like immediately right back. And you're like emit likes it and you're like, fuck you, man.
I slept at 1 a.m. I woke up at 5:20 a.m. and I just got up. I'm like, all right, time to do work. Like, just got to work. Yeah, that shit.
Right,
so we'll see everyone on tonight. We're gonna have Gabe on tonight. He's gonna explain his short position, $42,000 against Weight Watchers. So we'll do a segment on that. Yeah, and then we'll have a bunch of other stuff for Finance Junkies tonight.
Yeah, I gotta buy some Tesla.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We will see you tonight.
In like 10 minutes.
Bye.
Bye.
Like 10 minutes.